Hello everybody and welcome to round number 12 of the 2022 GP4 Offline Championship. We are here at the famous Circuit des Spa-Francorchamps in Stavelot for the Belgian Grand Prix. 44 laps of action coming your way here at this magnificent circuit. I am JW97 and just like yesterday I am joined by my arch nemesis Ra.
Yep, hello everybody, and we are looking at the grid, so we're going to go 4x4 as per usual.
We are indeed, and hopefully it should be a good race here at Spa. So, here is your grid then for the Belgian Grand Prix. On pole position, for the third time this season, it is George Rick in the Red Bull, followed by Evan Byrne in second, the second consecutive race that the Red Bulls have locked out the front row. Franco Lopez will start in third, with Jesus Perinin in fourth.
In fifth place, we have Jake Galloway in the Ferrari. In sixth, we have Nico Sco in the AlphaTauri. Seventh, we have David Kupok in the other AlphaTauri. And in eighth, we have a disappointing Omar Car in the Mercedes.
Ninth position, we have Rahul Patel, followed by Roman Quag in a disappointing 10th. Amelia Wilson starts in 11th, with Andre Videri in 12th.
Yeah, in In the center of the grid, we have the both passes of Michael Macho in 13th with Bartis Costa 14th, and then the McLarens in the 8th of the grid with Joseph Wells in 15th and Kirosa Maderosa in 16th.
Felix Sontag starts in 17th with Joantis Martins in 18th position. Bence Valdinga will start in 19th with Laura Chung, who did qualify in 15th, but due to a 5-place grid penalty, starts down in 20th. And on the back row of the grid, Ra,
we have Chris Chatfield in 21st after a frustrating Q1 session, and Jamie Griffiths in 22nd.
The weather for today, it is going to be changeable. We're going to start off with wet conditions, intermediate conditions to be exact, but as you can see for the rest of the race, it should dry up. So we're looking at changeable conditions for the Belgian Grand Prix here today then. So without further ado, let us get on with the Belgian Grand Prix. And, well, it should be a very interesting run to the first corner. Usually when you start on pole position, the second place driver is usually the one to get the lead into the first corner. So we'll wait and see if that's still going to be the case this time by, as we wait to see how this one is going to fare as we get set for 44 laps of action here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. So here we are then on the grid then for the start of the race. Everybody is on the intermediate tyres as expected to start off with. It is George Roque on the left of your screens. It is Evan Byrne on the right who is going to get the lead into the first corner as we soon wait for the 5 red lights to go out to signify the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. Usually the garage is usually the thing that makes the red lights come on a little bit slowly, but anyway, we've got 3 lights that are now on your screens, 4 lights, and now 5 lights are on. And it is lights out, and away we go here at Spa-Francorchamps. Who is going to get the lead into the first corner? They all tippy-toe their way off the front row on the intermediate conditions. It looks like Byrne has got a better launch. It looks like he doesn't even need the first corner like we saw yesterday in F2, as Byrne is going to go all the way around the outside and take the lead as expected. Perinen up into third place. Can he also get second place from George Roque? As expected, we got a yellow flag down at the first corner, as we've already got a crash at the first corner. Roque holds on to second place from Jesus Perinen as they now make their way down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. It's Perinen and Lopez are tucked up, and Chatfield's involved in the accident. So Chris Chatfield is out of the race on the first lap of the race, and so is Joseph Willows. Willows is out of the race in the McLaren. So both of them have been involved in an accident on the first lap. We'll have to look at that in a bit, but Perinin is looking on the inside of George Roque into the down the inside, and they're side by side through into the corner now then, and he hasn't quite been able to do it. Lopez tries to get Perinin back, but he can't make the move stick. But yeah, we've got a crash already on the first lap involving Chatfield and Willows.
Sontag's up to 9th. What a start he's had!
That's indeed from 17th on the grid. I wonder if he took advantage from an accident that happened with Willows and Chatfield, of course. Of course, Willows was in front of Sontag at the start, so we might be able to see what goes on here. So eventually, Sontag did not get the best of starts at all. So I'm just wondering where on earth Chris Chatfield comes in all of this. And in fact, Sontag has already passed those cars before that accident has occurred, and he just found a gap on the inside and said, "Thank you very much. I take 9th place with ease."
Ooh, and that was very close to the wall. I think there was 3 way between Sontag, Patel, and Amar Kar. So Patel wanted to go down the inside of Kar. He actually got the jump on Quag. It didn't quite work. He couldn't get past. He couldn't get past Kar. But yeah, let's see the incident between Chatfield and Willows. Chatfield, of course, started in 21st, back row of the grid. Willows in 15th. So let's see what happened here.
Oh, we're going into the first corner. I think there was somebody who also got damage as well on the first lap. And, oh, it was just a bit of a clumsy incident there, really. It was pretty much at slow speed, and both Willows out of the race. And it's Mocho that was the one that got damaged. That was the one I saw that had a pit indicator. So Mocho, once again, for the second race in a row, has got to pit for damage. And I think De Rosa has also got damage as well. So both McLarens are in the wars for this one as well. So 2 cars with rear wing damage. So both De Rosa and Mocho are going to have to come back to the pit to get their rear wings repaired.
Yeah. Okay, De Rosa did hit the house, and then Chung went into the back of De Rosa, so pretty much a chain reaction there.
Yeah, indeed, so it's not just rear wing damage that De Rosa's got, it's also front wing damage for the McLaren driver. Chung, lucky she didn't get any damage at all from that whole concertina effect that happened in front. But meanwhile, Lopez is attacking Perinin for 3rd position into the Bruxelles corner, and he's got like he might have the move done already coming out the exit, and he has done. Lopez back up to 3rd place. He gets in front of Perinin there, as Perinin is now holding up a train of cars behind. It looks like Miklos Gau, who has had a good start to the race as well, is now on the inside of Perinin, heading into Pouan, but he can't make the move stick and has to hang back for the moment. So after an initial good start there for Perinin, it looks like now he's starting to hold up a train.
Yeah, but he is holding up the train, and I want to know how many laps of fuel he has. So he could be on a heavier fuel load. 26 laps of fuel is pretty similar to what actually Lopez has. Rogue's on heavier fuel load, so he might catch up to Rogue, but we'll see about the pace. So I feel like Pernin might be slower than Rogue, so he might be struggling right now.
Lopez all over the back of George Roque, meanwhile, in a fight for second place. And interestingly enough, Lopez looks like he's on a one-stop strategy for today. 26 laps of fuel, so that's a bit interesting. I wonder what Roque is on. He's also on a one-stop. I wonder what Byrne is also on.
Oh
Meanwhile,
no!
oh no, his car's got damage! Car has got damage. He's lost his front wing. I think it's because he clipped the back of David Cupart there, who has also got damage. But Concertina also happening at the chicane.
Yep, and that was all on call there. And yeah, I don't know what he was thinking about that one. Meanwhile, Patel is on the back of Sontag. Sontag up to 7th from this. And Patel going on the outside line. Quad contact!
Oh, that was very big indeed, and Quag nearly ending his race right there for the taking. But Cupart and Carr in the pits for damage as well, so they'll have to have repairs there at the moment. So a front wing change for Cupart, a rear wing change for a front wing change for Carr, and a rear wing change for David Cupart. He finished his pit stop quite quickly, in fact, despite the fact that he had a bit of damage to the rear wing. It was a very quick stop, and Carr finishing off his pit stop as well. But meanwhile, we're going to take a look again at this contact that happened between Quag and Patel here.
Patel found the line on the racing line. Sontag left the door open. Quad goes a long way back. Patel backs out of it. He knew he wasn't going to get the move done. Quad breaks pretty late. And then Patel tries to cover the door, tries to stay with Sontag, slipstream, and then, yeah, Quad just tagged the back of him. Luckily, Wilson doesn't tag the back of him as well.
Indeed, but meanwhile, Patel now trying to attack Sontag down the Camel Straight now. Then as the Lamborghini driver is on the inside, Mocho now into the pits as well, I think, or is that just a confirmation that he's in the pits? But meanwhile, Patel on the inside, and he gets the move done straight away. Up into 7th place goes the Lamborghini driver as they make their way through Lecom now. Then Quag also through. Kloss is up to 10th place meanwhile, so he's gained a few places from all of that. So he's now into the points as everybody who's got damage is now finished off their pit stoppers now. Meanwhile, Lopez is still attacking Roque for second place here. He's still not been able to find a way through on the Red Bull driver, but all of this is allowing Byrne to get away. But Lopez has got to run down towards Pouan here, but he can't make the move stick. And well, the pace that Byrne's showing at the front, he's 2.8 seconds. I wonder what his fuel load is like compared to everybody else. He's on 27 laps, so he's on a similar strategy than Byrne. So really, the top three all on a similar strategy. Some people are going on the 2-stop. I can notice that Kloss is on quite a low fuel load, as he's actually got up to 9th place past Quag here, in fact.
Quag went a little bit wide there. We might need to look on board with Quag. I think he might have gone a bit wide because he took a lot of curve there.
Oh, indeed. So a mistake for Quag, and Kloss says, thank you very much. I'll take 9th place with ease there. So Quag clearly struggling on this first lap at the moment. And in fact, Kloss actually had a run on Sontag going down towards Pouan, but in fact, he wasn't able to make it stick. Or was he? Yes, he did. Right? He did, in fact, make it work. So he's actually gained 2 places out of all that. Kloss up into 8th place and on a charge. He is on a light fuel load, let's not forget. Meanwhile, look at this. Roque is holding up his own version of the Truly train here.
Yep, Kloss, looking at this fuel load, he's on the 2-stop. Looking at that, so Kloss will be on the 2-stop, and he'll be pretty quick here. So Patel, will probably have a battle between Patel and Kloss for 7th. They will be catching up to this fight for 2nd here.
As Lopez does all he can to get by on Roque. Can he try and get that a little bit late on the brakes of the chicane? No, he can't. Meanwhile, there was a bit of a dive there for I think that was Gal trying to have a go at Perinin there, but it didn't work out. Perinin holds on to 4th as Byrne sets the fastest lap of 1:50.666. The devil's phone number there with those digits. But anyways, they now make their way down towards the source now. Then Roque again going defensive. He can feel the pressure from Franco Lopez here, and Lopez cannot afford to be held up by Roque at this point because he's got his rival Evan Byrne just scampering away in the distance right now. He's got an over 5-second gap to George Roque at this stage, and they now make their way through Eau Rouge and Radion pretty soon now. Then up the hill they go, and in fact they're leaving Perinin behind a little bit. Perinin had pretty poor traction coming out of the source, but now Lopez has got to run here on George Roque. Can he finally get the move done on the Red Bull drivers that go side by side down the Camel Straight? Is Lopez going to split the 2 Red Bulls? And yes, he is. Lopez up into 2nd place. Now can he go after Evan Byrne?
The gap is 5.5 seconds, so let's see how much he's going to catch up to him and how long will it take for him to get behind him, but it will depend on if he is quicker.
Indeed, so meanwhile, Bartosz Kloss now all over the back here of Rahul Patel, although it looks like he's having a little bit of a lock-up through into there, a little bit of an aquaplane moment, so he has to back out of that one for the moment. Meanwhile, Perinen and Gala still fighting it out for 4th position. They're also dragging along Jake Galloway into this fight as well, as they now make their way through into Pouan now then, as now you can see how much Lopez is now pulling away from George Rogue. He's got 5.5 seconds of which to gain onto Evan Byrne in front. Meanwhile, Wilson trying to get the final points place off of Felix Sontag there, but it's not going to work out. So she has to back out of that one for the moment, as they are currently fighting for the final points place at this stage, as they now make their way through Lefania of turns 12 and 13. Sontag taking a little bit of a wider line through into that corner compared to Wilson, so a little bit unusual there, it's fair to say. But yeah, Lopez is now broke free from Rope, and he's now going to try and see if he can set his sights on Evan Byrne in front, as he's actually cut the gap down to 5.1 seconds, so he's already taken 4 attempts out of Byrne in the second sector.
Yep, that's what he needs, and he needs to keep on gaining. And also looking at the leaderboard, Kloss actually overtook Patel. Cogs also had a Sontag, and Sontag meanwhile holding a train of cars now.
Yeah, indeed, Videri was trying to have a go at Wilson there around the outside, but he couldn't make it work, as this could all end in disaster.
Ooh, no.
As there's damage, somebody's got damage, it's Chung. Chung has got damage, as has Valdinger, and once again it looks like a concertina effect was happening down at that chicane, so those two have got to pit for damage.
Yep, and again, all on Valdinger, of course, but yeah, chain reaction, there's nothing you could do from that.
Indeed, as everybody was just basically just bottling up on each other going into the chicane, a bit similar to what we saw with both Carr and Kupok on the first lap, and the same thing has happened here this time with Chung and Valdinger on lap 4, as now Chung will come in to get her new rear wing, and Valdinger will pit for a new front wing, as now change of tyres. And she's actually not going to the end of the race. She's actually going to be continuing on the strategy. So a bit of a change of strategy there, I think, for Laura John. Bence Valdinger, 31 laps of fuel, so he'll be pitting once again before the end of the race, pretty much towards the lap 34 one. But they both finished the pit stop. Let's see what happened here.
Yeah, Chung, I think Griffiths dives it on Chung. He gets the move done on Chung. He doesn't get the move done on the S1, and then Valdinger just goes into the back of Chung.
You'd say that Bence kind of got sucked in onto the gearbox there of Jamie Griffiths as a result, and well, that just basically caused all of that kerfuffle really. But both of their races have now been compromised, and they're going to have to make it through the field, including Michael Mocha as well, who earlier on got damage on the first lap. But yeah, as mentioned earlier on in the race, once again for the second race in a row, Mocha involved in a lap 1 collision.
Yeah, and not ideal at all, and he's got to recover a lot here.
While the two Aston Martins are fighting for 12th place, this is Martins all over the back of Videri, as they are all still stuck behind Felix Sontag at this stage. Sontag doing a good job keeping these guys back. The gap now between the top two, 4.8 seconds at this stage. As meanwhile, it's still 5 tenths between Perinen and Gal meanwhile, so Gal has still not been able to find a way through on Perinen at this stage of the race. There's a Rope now looking pretty lonely in 3rd position. He has got the gap to Perinen, so it just seems like Perinen is just struggling to catch up to the Red Bull at this point in time, as a Gal trying his best to get by, but so far struggling to get past the Renault at this stage.
Yeah, it looks like he is struggling to get past the Renault. Meanwhile, Cog is all over the back of Patel. This is about for 8th place. They are pulling away from Sontag. Griffiths is actually there with that battle for 10th here.
Indeed, as now Quag will try and get 8th place here from Rahul Patel. Can he pull the move off into the chicane? He thinks about the move. He's trying to have a look on the inside, but can't make the move stick. Meanwhile, Lopez has just set the fastest lap of the race at 1:49.3. As meanwhile, Videri trying to have a go at Wilson into the chicane there.
Griffiths, no!
This has left his braking far too late, and more collisions happening in the wet conditions. Martins and Griffiths, the latest ones now to have damage at that chicane.
As I said something positive about Griffiths being there in that battle for 10th, and next thing you know, he does that. Come on.
Yeah, indeed, and whilst those two were coming into the pits, I think I noticed something on the pit straight. Did I just see a dry line starting to emerge? I might be wrong on that, but I think I might have started to see a dry line down onto the pit straight at some point. So it's worth something to keep an eye on, but both Griffiths and Martins now having to pit for repairs, and well, we talked about Griffiths' future yesterday during qualifying, and well, these incidents he cannot be having if he wants to stay in the top class next season.
Yeah, and he is a big danger, and yeah, this is not what he needs. And he was having a good race up until that point, and now it's gone downhill.
Yeah, indeed, and well, that's that. Martins rejoins his 16th after all that. Whoa, Vaderi has a moment through into Lecombe there, getting a little bit squirrely through into that part of the track. As meanwhile, Sontag and Wilson are still fighting it out for 10th position. But yeah, everything is all changed. Meanwhile, Quag now on the inside. Patel into Puan. He's going to try and go for the move, but he can't make it stick. So once again, stuck behind the Lamborghini driver. Same with Wilson and Sontag. Wilson still not able to find a move on Sontag, and the Merritt tries to go again into Puan, but it can't work out. There's Overdale's gone wide. Vaderi's gone for a spin. He was getting a little bit squirrely. Oh no!
No!
Puckers ran into that. His whereabouts, his car gone. I think he's just got around it. Yes, he has. Car's gone around it, but Q-Puck on-sighted with that, and he is out of the race.
And yep, I mean, the good thing is that he avoids a lap point collision, but he doesn't avoid this. And yeah, his AI couldn't avoid that, and that was a big mistake from Federi.
Yeah, we saw him getting squirrely through Lecombe, you may remember, and it just seems like the oversteer once again was kicking in, and well, Q-Pop coming in on-sighted, and he was out of the race as a result. Vaderi's going to have to pit for a new front wing as a result, so pretty much the damage bill coming out of the OC bank account once again out of this race, it's fair to say, as well. That's pretty much that, really. So Chaos then, yeah, there is a brief dry line you can just about see there on the pit straight, but it's nothing too major, but it is something to worth note about for the remainder of the race, that is for sure. But yeah, Q-Puck out of the race, and we are now down to 19 runners in this Grand Prix.
Yep, and Koss is now right on the back of this battle for where Brennan is, so yeah, Brennan, Galloway, and Koss now in this fight.
Yeah, indeed, we now look back at the battle between Patel and Quag, although we're going back to this fight for what's going on for the final points place between Sontag and Wilson, and it looks like, again, Quag struggling for traction coming out of the source there. I think we saw a similar thing with his teammate Perinin as well, so his brothers can't seem to hook up the exit of the source very well, and as a result, Quag too far back to challenge Patel at this stage of the races. Now we look at Wilson and Sontag now, who are fighting for the final points place through Eau Rouge and Radion. Now then we will go, as Wilson's got a good run here on Sontag. Will she finally take 10th place off of Felix Sontag now then, as she'll now go to the inside? Can she finally pull the move off on the Williams driver? Dairy now into the pits to get his front wing repaired, and she goes down the inside. Can she pull the move on? The answer to that is no. Once again, Sontag holds on to 10th position, as I'm pretty sure Carl will start to close up on those two pretty soon. But now Kloss now on the inside of Jake Galloway. On the inside he goes, and he's up into 6th place once again, making his strategy work out, and he's once again scything through the field is the driver who will be, of course, staying at Haas next season.
And this is why Haas have retained him, and he's having a great season, and this is why. And he might have a good shot of a podium here.
Of course, he is on a lighter fuel, though. We do think he's on a 2-stop, so he's going a little bit different here, but it is worth something to point out for this race. But meanwhile, going back to the top 2, Lopez is now only 2.2 seconds behind Evan Byrne, so Lopez continuing to gain on his rival now then, as we're going to see, well, we won't now because the cameras are told it to tell us to go away there on that occasion. But Mocho on the inside here of that was Martin. Oh! Sontag spun! I don't think there was contact there. I think that's an aquaplane moment for Felix Sontag. He's cracked under pressure, and Wilson takes 10th place on a plate.
Yep, and I think we could see a dry line emerging here as well. There is a dry line emerging, so dry line's appearing now.
And as mentioned, I don't believe it was contact between the pair. I think that was more Sontag getting caught out by that dry line there that's starting to emerge on the racetrack. And, well, he's thrown away a potential chance of another points finish here today.
Yeah, and he did well defending, but yeah, he cracked under pressure there.
Indeed, and well, that's that really. Meanwhile, back to the Battle of Acres. Quag once again gets a run here on Patel, tries to look to the outside. Is he going to try and fake him the dummy here into the first corner? The answer to that is no, so he's going to hang back for the moment, as now making their way into La Source now, then we go, as meanwhile Kloss will now try and catch up to the battling Gal and Perinin. There's my voice decides to break there at that point, but meanwhile Quag, I think, is a lot closer to Patel than what he was on the previous lap this time. He's been able to get the traction coming out of La Source. Will he finally get the move done on the Lamborghini driver coming out of Radion now? Then we go onto the Camel Straight, now heading towards Lecombe. Is Quag going to finally get the move done on Rahul Patel here? Side by side they go down the Camel Straight as they go side by side towards Lecombe. I think Quag is going to do it. Is he? No, he's not. I'm a bit surprised by that. I thought he would have actually gone for the dive, but Patel able to hang it around the outside, and for the moment he holds on to 8th. But can Quag maybe try and get him into the Bruxelles corner here, which is usually a famous overtaking place for when there's wet conditions, but not on this occasion. Quag deciding once again to hang back on Patel.
Yeah, Patel doing on defending from Quag, and Patel's got a on lighter field than Quag,
Hang on a minute.
but I feel like Quag's got better pace.
Hold the thought for a moment, because again, Griffiths is having to pit for a new front wing once again. So what on earth has happened here with Griffiths this time? Did he make more contact with someone else, or has he made a driver error at this point in time? Because he's once again having to pit for a front wing. What on earth has happened here with Jamie Griffiths?
And I'll just see. Oh, he's gone wide.
He's done the same mistake as his teammate Felix Sontag, except he's got understeer from that, and he's ended up losing his front wing. So what is it with the Williamses and turn 14 today?
Yeah, they were looking good at the start until now.
Yeah, indeed, and well, Griffiths' race has just gone from bad to worse as a result. He'd already made contact with Aderi a bit earlier on in the race, but now Griffiths' race has just come undone once again, and well, he's now a nightmare. But look at this, we've got a battle for the lead now between the two title rivals, Byrne and Lopez, fighting it out for the lead of the race now. Then as Lopez wants to get the lead off his nearest rival, he's going to try and go for the inside line. Open a contact between the two rivals there. Can Lopez try and slip it on the inside? No, he can't. Byrne holds on for the time being, but it's getting very tense between the two rivals here.
Yep, it is, and we're waiting for this moment, but yeah, let's see what will happen here. Will Lopez take the lead, or will Byrne hold him off for now?
Yep, as they now go around the sources, Lopez going to try and get a run on Byrne down the Camel Straight. It all depends on the traction, really. It looks like Byrne had pretty good traction coming out of there. I mean, it looks like Lopez might be a little bit too far back to challenge unless he can potentially gain through Eau Rouge and Radion. Meanwhile, Gowley's under pressure here from Bartosz Klos now then, as they now make their way into La Source. As meanwhile, Lopez, is he close enough to go for Byrne? I don't think he has. I think Byrne has just got enough of a gap to stay in front of Franco Lopez for the time being now then. They now make their way through into Lecom now then, as Byrne still holds on to the lead for the moment now then. Both of them are on a similar strategy, so they're both opting for the one stop. So really, it's basically the gloves are off and they've got to fight on the track before their pit stop happens.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see what they can do. And of course, the dry line is Emergence, so if they go as long as they can, they could come in for slicks.
Now Quag on the inside, and I think he's finally going to get the move done, and he has indeed. Quag finally gets by Patel, and he's up into 8th position. He's finally broke free from the Lamborghini driver, and he's gained a place from all of that. As meanwhile, we turn our attention back to the battle for 5th between Klos and Gal. Meanwhile, is Klos going to try and go for it into Pouon like he did with Galloway a few laps ago? He's on the inside of Gal into Pouon now, but he can't make the move stick. Gal holds on for the moment as we now turn our attention back to the battle for the lead between Byrne and Lopez here.
Yep, and let's see what Lopez will do this time. Gonna go on the inside. He ain't gonna work there. It's not really an overtaking place, but let's see what he would do in the bus stop chicane.
As they now come towards the chicane, these two make contact previously. This time by Byrne does not put too much of it. Lopez had to back out there as basically Byrne chopped him the door there going through into the chicane, and I think Lopez has lost all the momentum in the world as a result of that. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Meanwhile, Carr has got up into 10th on scene by the cameras, so Carr is now back up into the points paying positions at this stage as this fight for 5th place is still going on between Gal, Klos and Galloway at the moment as we turn our attention back to the two title rivals now then heading down the hill, and I think once again Lopez is just too far back to get Byrne on this occasion.
Like Byrne's got way better traction and Lopez might be quicker. I think Byrne is quicker in the straight line, but when Lopez is in the slipstream, Lopez gains.
Indeed, we now look at Klos and Gal once again in the fight for what is 5th position. I think Gal has just got enough of a gap to stay in front of Klos once again as they make their way down the hill. Byrne still leading the way ahead of Lopez at the moment as the two title rivals are very close together on the racetrack. As meanwhile, Chung and Mocho are fighting for 12th position. Mocho tries to go for 12th place into the chicane, but he can't make it stick, and Chung holds on to 12th position for the moment. Sontag's now got damage. Sontag's got damage. Is it another aquaplane moment at Bruxelles? I can't believe it. Not at Bruxelles, but at turn 15. What is going on with the Williamses today?
Yeah, they're making a lot of mistakes here, and yeah, after getting points, and they're making so many mistakes, and yeah, that is not good for them.
That opened the door for Martin to take 14th place. Let's not forget, of course, those two are fighting for that second Renault seat, of course, because we know that Quag is staying at Renault next season, but we believe that Perinen, of course, is leaving at the end of the season, and we think it's between Martins and Sontag. We know that Volker's in that fight, but nobody really wants to pay him too much attention, as now Macho tried to have a go at Chung there into the source, but it didn't work out there, so once again, has to back out of it. But once again, the Williamses are going to have to fish out for a new front wing, for this time Felix Sontag in this race as the two title title rivals continue to scrap it out for the lead of the race as Lopez essentially pushing Byrne around Lafagna there.
Yeah, but he is really quick in the middle sector. Lopez is really quick in the middle sector. But I feel like it's that first sector, he loses a lot of time. And even when he goes for an overtake, he loses time there in the final sector.
Kloss has taken 5th from Gal, unseen by the cameras. So Bartosz Kloss now up into P5. He's got by on Miklos Gal as Lopez once again can't find a way through on Evan Byrne. But as mentioned, Kloss has now gained a place on Miklos Gal and he's up into 5th position.
Yeah, great job by Kloss. Next up for him is Jesus Perenin.
Yep, indeed, as now look at Galloway, who's now on the back of Miklos Gal, trying to get him into the chicane if he can. Down towards the last chicane, no, not quite. Gal holds on to that as Kloss now gets away from Gal, as he'll now try and chase down Jesus Perenin in front of him. Once again, Lopez just can't seem to get the traction hooked up around the source, and once again, Byrne has just got enough of a gap to keep ahead of him down the Kemmel Straight.
Sontag's on slicks, what?
Yeah, Sontag is on slicks, but we did point out that there is a dry line starting to emerge. I guess Sontag was like, screw it, why not? We've got nothing to lose here. Let's just go on the dry tyres here, as there is dry lines starting to emerge on the racetrack, as his teammate is still on the Inters meanwhile, but Sontag going for the gamble of going on the slick tyres here.
Yeah, it is pretty early to go on the slicks, but yeah, it's pretty interesting that Williams are choosing to go for the slicks now, but it is pretty wet out there. Of course, there is parts where there is a dry line. The dry line here is not there, so it might have wet up right now.
Looks like the dry... Jeez. Sontag 7 seconds off the pace in the middle sector, according to Yuri there. But yeah, it just seems like they've just put on the dry tyres at the wrong point, because at the time when we had those dry lines, especially down here where Lopez and Byrne are, as Raj just pointed out, it's now all disappeared again. So it looks like those parts of the track are once again wet. But meanwhile, back to the battle for the lead of the race between Byrne and Lopez. Lopez again trying to get through Blanchimont, can't make it work as they now go through the second part of Blanchimont. Now they're on the racetrack, heading into the last chicane on the racetrack. Lopez, is he going to try and have a go? No, he's not. He's going to hang back for the moment now. Then very close to contact between the pair, and Lopez losing all the momentum in the world in the first part of that chicane. But yeah, Byrne and Lopez still basically pushing each other to the limit at this point in time. As meanwhile, George Rote still looking pretty lonely in third position. But meanwhile, look at this. Kloss now on the back of Jesus Perenin. He's already caught up to him. Of course, we think that Kloss is on a 2-stop in this race, judging from his fuel load. But we'll have to wait and see on that one when we get to the pit stops. But anyways, Kloss now then comes out of the last chicane now. Then he's right onto the back now then of Jesus Perenin's Renault. As meanwhile, Galloway has overtaken Gal, seen by the cameras. So Galloway is now up into 6th position. He's finally got by on Miklos Gal. But now we look at Perenin and Kloss once again, who are fighting it out for 4th position. Kloss having a very good race from 14th place on the grid, already gaining 9 places from his original grid spot. But can he get the run on Perenin down towards Eau Rouge and Radion? Let's see. He's now coming towards Eau Rouge now. Then up the hill he goes, through into Radion. He gains a little bit through there, but I just think he's a little bit too far back to challenge the Renault at this point in time.
Yeah, a bit too far back to challenge Perenin, but yeah, he might have a go, but we'll see where.
Indeed so. Meanwhile, Mocho and Chung are still fighting for 12th position, as now Sontag has been overtaken by his teammate Jamie Griffiths. You have to wonder if the call for slick tyres there for Felix Sontag has not paid off there for him at all, and I'm pretty sure the leaders are not too far away from him as a result, who are having their own fight for the lead of the race. In fact, yeah, they're only a couple of corners away from Felix Sontag, so maybe that traffic could help out Lopez here, as Sontag currently trundling around on those slick tyres. I think he's just praying for the track to dry up very soon in the Grand Prix. But now back to the battle for the lead, or maybe not, because no, we are going back to the fight for the lead now then. Lopez on the back of Byrne once again, going through into Blanchimont now, then through the first part and now into second part now then. We will go as we make our way in towards the chicane now then, heading into the final chicane on the racetrack. Lopez tries again on the inside into the chicane. Oh no! They've hit each other and they're both out of the race. Lopez and Byrne are both out. Roke is going to take the lead, I think, as long as he doesn't hit Byrne, of course, as Roke now...
He's got to avoid that Red Bull. He's got to avoid his teammate. That's got to be sure. Oh, no!
He's lost his front wing in the process. Roke has got to pit as a result of that, but at least he's created a gap in the traffic for everybody else. So Perenin is now going to take the lead of the Grand Prix with Kloss in second. But Drama, the championship contenders, are both taking each other out, and it was 3 points going into this. It's still going to be 3 points after this Grand Prix.
Yeah, and Rogue would have taken the lead, but of course he wasn't able to avoid his stranded teammates, and that's a big shame for Rogue. And of course he has to pit. Oh, he's on slicks as well.
He's gone onto the slick tyres as George Roke, so I think as soon as everybody pits, they'll all go onto the slick tyres. But let's take a look at this then, Ra.
Yeah, and of course they made contact once before, and yeah, we just hoped that they would keep it clean, but no, Lopez just kept on sending it, and yeah, Byrne turned into the corner, and I think Byrne had the right for the corner.
He was already far ahead. I think Lopez was a little bit too ambitious there. I don't know if there'll be any penalty for that at all, but given we've had concertinas through into that chicane, it wouldn't surprise me if the stewards decide to take a miss on that one. But yeah, that's where Roke obviously lost his front wing from all of that, creating a space for Perinen and Kloss to go through. And wow, the fight between Perinen and Kloss now, with Roke now into the pits for a new front wing, has now allowed for a battle for the lead between Perinen and Kloss.
Carl's got damage as well.
Has Carl got damage, or is
yes? Yes, he has. I think. Yeah.
He's also got front wing damage, so it's drama for the top two teams as Carl also pits, and I wonder if he's going to do the same thing as Roke here and go onto the dry tyres.
Yep, we're going to see it right now.
Let's see now then as they'll put on a fresh set of tyres. Let's see if it is going to be dry for Armar Carr or not. And yes, it is. It will be the hard dry tyres now then. So he's going the same route as George Roke in this Grand Prix. But yeah, that's pretty much that really. But wow, this has really opened this race up. He's gone 20 laps, so he will have to pit once again. Did he collect some debris whilst they were clearing up Evan Byrne's car? Let's see.
He might have hit in the strict. Oh, he's hit. Has he? Yeah. No, yeah, he's hit the debris. Yeah.
That was Evan Byrne's front wing he collected there, or it might have been George Roke's, in fact, because of course he lost the front wing in the process and all of that, so it was one of the Red Bull drivers either way. But yeah, drama here at the Belgian Grand Prix, but we now have a fight for the lead between Perinen and Kloss. Who would have thought that at the start of the race? A Renault and a Haas fighting for potentially the victory, but of course we don't know what Kloss's strategy is, of course, because he's on quite a light fuel load compared to everybody else, so we don't know what he's planning here.
Yeah, we don't know what he is planning, but you need to wonder what Haas cooking up here.
Yeah, he's really trying to attack Perinen now for the lead of the race. You've got Galloway, who's not too far behind at this stage of the race. Through into the Lafagna corner we go on the racetrack as they'll now make their way towards turns 14 and 15 now on the racetrack. As now coming around the right-hander now, then we go. As now Kloss will try and get a run. Of course, he can't overtake at the chicane, of course, that there are yellow flags down there. If he goes for an overtake there, then he will risk a 5-second time penalty, so he can't go for a move into the chicane because they're busy clearing up Lopez and Byrne's car from the previous lap as they now make their way towards the chicane, and I think they are going to remain single file for the time being. Kloss going a little bit later on the brakes then than what Perinen is, going through into that last chicane. But anyway, as they now get back on the power now, then will Kloss try and get a run in towards La Source now then. As meanwhile, Gal's trying to get back at Galloway for third place. But Kloss now trying to look on the inside of Jesus Perinen. He's going to try and dive it into the first corner. Can he pull the move off? He's on the inside and he's got the move done. Kloss takes the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. A Haas now leads the race.
Yep, unbelievable stuff, and he's having an amazing race. He started P14, yeah, and he's leading the race, but Pernin will have the slipstream, and of course Pernin has been quicker than him in the straight line, so let's see if Pernin's going to retake the lead away from Bartius Kloss.
Side by side, once again down the Camel Straight, Perinen versus Kloss heading towards the com. Is Perinen going to reclaim the lead for the Haas? No, he's not. Kloss holds on to the lead, and Kloss, I think with that strategy, might just waltz away into the distance.
Yep, indeed, and yeah, that could be amazing, but of course he doesn't have that much fuel left, 9 laps left, so yeah, he's not far from his pit window, so he's got to pull as big of a gap as he can.
Indeed so, and I'm just trying to have a look at the pace of Roke on the dry tyres. He didn't look too bad going up through Eau Rouge there, so I'm be curious to see what his pace is like. He's only 9/10 off of Lopez in the first sector, so who knows really. Maybe he's gone to the tyres at the right time, although having said that, Car is currently struggling on those tyres because he's got Kirishima De Rosa all over the back of him now. Then there's now De Rosa on the inside of the Mercedes driver heading down towards the Lecom, and I think he's going to get the move done pretty well. That BMW engine getting in front of Car, and well, Car clearly struggling on those dry tyres, but I guess he and Roke are just praying for the conditions to change.
Yep, they are slower by around like 3 to 4 tenths within that first sector, but they'll be losing around 2 to 3 seconds a lap in the middle of the final sector. But let's see the comparison between Roke and maybe the car behind Wilson or Patel. He's 3.9 seconds off the pace, so around roughly 9/10, so around 1.5 seconds they'll lose.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Mocho is still battling Chung. These two have been battling for quite a while in this Grand Prix now then, and forgot to mention as well that the yellow flags have now been lifted at that last chicane, so they are free to race at that chicane once again. But anyways, they now make their way towards Blanchimont now then. And can't make their way through into that part of the track now, through into the second part of Blanchimont now. Then we go. As you can see, Kloss is definitely now pulling away from Jesus Perinim. As meanwhile, will Mocho try and dive it down the inside into the chicane? And that's a fantastic move from the Haas driver. Mocho up into 9th position.
Yeah, brilliant move by Mocho. Up to 9th he goes. Next target for him is Emilio Wilson. He's not far off Wilson, so he might be able to get that move done on Wilson.
I think Perinin there just made a mistake through into Lecombe because it looked like he had a twitch of oversteer through into that part of the track, as it looks like Galloway and Gal are now starting to gain on him. So Perinin currently struggling on the set of tyres that he's currently on at this stage of the race, as now we look at Valdinger. I wonder if he'll soon try and close up onto the Takar, who's still on the dry tyres at the moment. As we look at Rote now, then I'm just trying to see. I didn't quite catch his gap between himself and I think it's obviously it's who is in 8th place. It's Amelia Wilson. So not really sure about that. It's currently 13 seconds I think between the pair. So you can't really read too much of that. As Chung has a bit of a moment through into Lecombe there, as she's now losing time to Michael Mocho, who himself is now on the back of Amelia Wilson. So Mocho already taking one driver and now wants to try and get another place if he can and try and help maybe if his teammate is in contention for a win. He wants to try and get as much points as he can for the team. He's already on the inside of the Alfa Romeo driver, and the Haas's are really putting on a show for us today, and Mocho up into 8th place.
Yep, and this is brilliant stuff by Haas. One car leading the race. The gap is 4 seconds between Kloss and Perinin, so Kloss is very quick right now. And next target for him is Rogue, but he is way back from Rogue, so you have to gain a lot here.
Indeed, as we now look at Galloway, who's once again under pressure from Miklos Gal. Not too far behind. You can just see in the background, Quag is slowly gaining onto this fight for 2nd place, so maybe he can sense perhaps a podium in this race as well. As now we look at Chung, who's trying to get on Amelia Wilson for 9th position now, then going through into the second part of Blanchimont now, then heading in towards the last chicane. I think she's too far back to challenge the Alfa Romeo at this point in time, so she'll have to wait maybe either at turn 1 or at the Camel Straight. We'll have to wait and see as we go through into the last chicane through the right and left-hander now. Then we go as they now make their way down the pit straight now then, and is Chung going to try and get a run here on Amelia Wilson? Of course, Chung does have fresher tyres than Wilson, because of course Chung did pick up damage a little bit earlier on in the race, but she thought about maybe trying to dive it on the inside, but Wilson already had that one covered, so it looks like Chung might try her luck again down onto the Camel Straight, depending on if she gets good traction out of the source, which she looks like she does, so it looks like she's going to try and get a run here on Amelia Wilson as they go down the support pit straight now then, or I should say the endurance pit straight now then, heading in towards the Eau Rouge and Radion complexes. Oh, Chung's got a moment, and Chung snapped it, and well, a chance to pass Wilson has gone there, but luckily for her, she didn't get any damage from that.
Yeah, lucky for her, indeed, and yeah, she'll lose time to Martins, but I don't think Martins will be able to overtake her.
Indeed, as now make our way towards the double right-hander now, then through turns 14 and 15 we will go, as Gal still keeping Galloway on us at the moment. Prin is still with a comfortable gap in front of Galloway, although it is still under a second between the pair of them at this stage, and there is Roman Quag who's trying to chase the pair of them down at the moment. As there's Rogue. Oh, Rogue's had a bit of understeer through into Lafagna. He's gone for a spin, so the dry tyres have caught up to him, and he's aquaplaned through into Lafagna there, and well, just like with Carl that we talked about earlier on, Ra, he is desperately playing for the track to get drier, but yeah, an aquaplane moment there for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, indeed, as Mocho goes for the same for Wilson, Chung, and Martin, so you have to wait. He's out of the points now, as George Truck, so De Rosa goes for Carl will also go for as well, and there he is. So you'll probably rejoin in 14th, we would say, maybe even 15th.
It's going to be 14th for George Rote there, so yeah, not exactly ideal for the Red Bull driver, and I think it's just a simple case of an aquaplane here, Ra.
Yeah, indeed, and those dry tyres have caught up to him, as you said, so yeah, it hasn't worked right now, but he is praying for the track to get drier.
Indeed, as he obviously rejoins now down in 14th position. So yeah, both Carr and Roke now finding themselves outside of the top 10 in this Grand Prix. As we look back now to the battle for third, as we now look at Wilson, in fact, who obviously gained a place from Roke's excursion there through into Lefania, but she's already losing time to Mocho, who's now 4.7 seconds up the road. Chung has still not been able to find a way through on the Alfa Romeo just yet, of course, because she did make a mistake on the previous lap. That mistake, though, has allowed Juventus Martins to get into the points for Aston Martin. So could we be looking at another points finish here for the Brazilian?
Yeah, we could, but we'll have to wait to see. Of course, Martins did pit for repairs as well, so he's on fresher tires, so he could be in that battle between Wilson and Chung as well.
Indeed so, as we ride on board with the race leader, Bartosz Kloss, who's got a 7-second lead over Jesus Perrin. And again, though, we are expecting him to pit in around about a few laps' time, and then we will find out what sort of strategy the Polish driver is on. But so far, from 14th on the grid regardless, he has had an amazing race here at Spa.
Yeah, indeed, he's having an amazing race. It's pretty much a race to remember for Kloss, it seems, and the gap now is 8.2. He's gained a second per sector, it seems, and he is flying right now as Bartosz Kloss.
Indeed, we look back now at Perrin, who's starting to pull a bit of a gap now to Jake Galloway. Is now Chung on the inside of Wilson. Is she going to go for the move into Pouon like Mocho did earlier? She tried to, a little bit close to contact there between the pair, but thankfully they just about avoided each other. But yeah, Chung desperate to get by on the Alfa Romeo here. She had a little bit of a moment there through into Lefania, but luckily was able to keep it on the track, unlike what we saw with George Roke a little bit earlier on. As we turn our attention now back to the battle for second place now then, as it looks like Galloway's caught up quite massively. Okay, a bit of an update there for Yuri. He believes that the rain should stop in about a minute time should the weather forecast that we saw at the beginning of the race be believed, of course. As now Martins is now on the back of the battling Chung and Wilson now. Then Martins looks to the outside. He's going to try and flick it back to the inside line of Chung. He tried to have a look but can't make the move stick. Has to hang back for the moment. And, well, it now becomes a three-way scrap for 8th position. But yeah, as it looks like the battle for second is going on, because as you can see, they're catching up to Sontag, who of course is one of a few drivers who are out there on the dry tyres. So that's why Perinen lost time to both Galloway and Gallet stage. As there's a dry line emerging again. It's coming out of Bruxelles there, so another dry line is starting to emerge around here on the racetrack.
Yep, so maybe the rain might have stopped, but oh, Gal's getting held up badly here.
Yeah, indeed. I think Gal kind of misjudged that one there for Sontag, but he finally gets through. I wouldn't be surprised if he gives him a little bit of a hand gesture out of the cockpit there. And now it's Quark's turn to lap the Williams here, going into Lefania, which he does. And now, because of all that with the traffic, it's now put Quark right behind Gal as a result.
Yeah, indeed. And Gal also lost time to Galloway as well. So the dry line's emerging even more here. So you might see the slick starting to work.
And Sontag is one of the slick runners as well, and so is, of course, George Roke and Armar Carr. So this might work into their favour if it dries up quick enough. As we turn our attention back, as unseen by the cameras, Chung has actually overtaken Wilson. So Chung is now up into 8th position, and now it's Martin's turn to attack Wilson for 9th.
Yep, and they're also not far off as well, so we have another three-way fight for 9th this time.
As they now go through into Lefania now, then through that corner. As Kloss is pitting at the end of this lap. So Bartosz Kloss, I wonder if he's going to go onto the slick tyres, because we did see when Carr and Roke and obviously Sontag pitted, they switched onto the dries. And given that there is now a dry line starting to emerge, who knows really, maybe the right time for him to go onto those tyres.
Yeah, it could be. And Mocho could pit around the next lap as well, lap 19. And he's not far off his pit window as well, because he already pit for repairs, but he's not far off his pit window.
Confirmation there by Yuri. Armar is quick at the moment. He's quickest than the intermediate cars in front of him at the moment. Martin's tried to have a go there at Wilson's chicane, but was unable to get the move done. And now it's brought Kirishima DeRosa into the fight for points there. The McLaren driver has caught up, and there is Armar Carr in the background. He is on dry tyres and seems to be the fastest guy on the racetrack right now. It seems that the dry tyres are now starting to come into that window now, and I wonder if Kloss is going to do the same when he comes into the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah, I wonder that as well. I think he will. Let's see what's going to happen. Krog now right at the back of Gal for 4th place.
Indeed, as they come around Pouon, as Kloss nearly had an 11-second lead before he comes into his pit stop this lap now then. But anyways, it looks like the battle for ninth is still being stable, despite the fact that Wilson went a bit defensive into that part. As the dry line is getting more and more noticeable going through turns 14 and 15 there, as we now look at Kloss, who will be coming into the pits at the end of this lap now then. So we will keep an eye on Kloss at this stage of the race. He now makes his way into the last chicane now then on the racetrack, as he will now pull to the right-hand side, which he does, and into the pits comes Bartosz Kloss. Will Haas get the dry tyres out ready for him? As we look now at Gal and Quark now then, who are fighting for 4th position. Quark now looking to the outside. Is he going to try and flick it back to the inside into the last chicane? He thinks about the move into the corner on Gal, but he can't make it stick, so he has to hang back for the moment. Is Kloss on the dry tyres? That is the question as we look in the pit box. Here he comes then. There are Haas mechanics waiting for him there. Is he going to go on to the dry tyres? As they put on a fresh set of tyres, and it is the dry tyres for Kloss. So he is pitting for dry tyres. Now, is it going to work for the Polish driver here?
Yep, and he will have to make one more stop, so he is on the 2-stop, as I said. So, yep, hopefully it works. And we have, oh, it's Wilson. She's out the race.
Wilson's out. I wonder if that's an aquaplane moment there for Amelia Wilson, but that's such a shame for her because she was running in the point, and yeah, it is an aquaplane moment. No contact from Martins whatsoever, and well, she does the same thing as what Felix Sontag did in front of her earlier on. Except on this occasion, Wilson crashes out and Sontag lives on to fight another day.
Yeah, and that puts Kirosima de Rosa in the points from that. So, yeah, this race is getting spicy, so let's see what happens. Let's see how Kloss does on these slick tires.
He joins in 5th position meanwhile, so he's not too far away from the top 4 in this race, as Quark is still stopped behind Miklas Gal at this stage, as the dry line is starting to become more noticeable, going through into the Bruxelles corner now then, as they now make their way through the right-hander and now into the Jackie X corner, and a little bit more of a dry patch there just before they go into the Jackie X corner. So the track, it seems to be getting drier and drier all the time. Kloss might have pulled a blinder here, but we'll have to wait and see, as of course he's got to try and make this strategy work. He is on the 2-stop, unlike everybody else who was around him, who was on the 1-stop, as the dry line continues to appear even more on the racetrack.
Yep, and this is crucial. Kloss does have a real chance of winning after what happened between Byrne and Lopez, and even Roque as well.
Yeah, indeed, as then now they come around the Stavlo corner now, then as Quark tries to have a go at Gal now, then in towards Blanchimont, and of course the final chicane. He tries to have a go through Blanchimont, they're not going to work out. He's going to try and maybe line up Gal for a pass once again into the last chicane now then, as they now approach that chicane. Looks to the outside, he's going to fake him a dummy. Once again, he's going to try and look to the inside if he can on the AlphaTauri driver. No, not quite. Gal just able to hang on to the place once again, and Quark will have to try again, maybe down the Kemmel Straight if he's got the grip. But Kloss is definitely gaining onto those guys, as Mocho will be pitting at the end of this lap. His teammate, speaking of which, Kloss's teammate Mocho is pitting at the end of this lap now then, but Kloss is definitely gaining onto this battle for third here.
Yeah, indeed, and the gap there is 3.4 seconds, so he is catching, but will he be able to overtake them easily? We'll see.
Meanwhile, Carr is now on the back of De Rosa and Martins, meanwhile, who are fighting for what is 9th position. So now coming around Blanchimont now, then we go. Is Carr going to try and take advantage as De Rosa tries to have a look at Martin? He's going to try and dive it down the inside if he can on the Aston Martin. He tries to have a go, but he can't make it stick. So Carr tries to see if he can watch on and see if he can try and take advantage. He might try and get De Rosa on traction here with the dry tyres. Has he got enough traction to get the McLaren? No, not quite. Carr once again having to hang back for the moment. Mocho now into the pits for Haas as they now make their way down towards the first corner now, then on the racetrack, and well, Carr consents maybe to get some places back now that the tyres are starting to work for him.
Yep, and he's just set a personal best lap time, so yeah, you can tell the slicks are quicker now. The slicks are quicker since he set a personal best, so we might see some fastest laps here.
I wonder if we're also maybe at some point during the race, if the track continues to dry the way it is, maybe we'll start to see some impromptu pit stops. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, as Quark really still trying to put Gal under pressure, but now he's got Bartosz Kloss all over the back now then as they make their way through into the right hand. Look at how much speed and confidence that Kloss has got on these dry tyres. He's now already all over the back of Roman Quark's Renault, as now we've got a freeway scrap for third place brewing here, as meanwhile Perinin is coming in. I think he's got the call, so has Galloway, so impromptu pit stops are about to happen on this lap. Quark has been forced to stay out because his teammate is pitting at the end of this lap, as well, Clark trying to have a go at Gal if he can into the last chicane, but he can't be able to do so. Gal goes in, but Quark has been forced to stay out to avoid a double stack, and now he's going to be under pressure from Bartosz Kloss here.
Yep, and I think everyone else behind Craig will also come in except for Armour Car and George Roke as well. Cross has set the fastest lap now.
He's the quickest man now there on the track, and he's now all over the back of Roman Quarg, who's being forced to stay out for another lap because of Roman Quarg being in the pit. Sorry, Jesus Perinin being in the pits. They're all coming in for dry tyres. Perinin finishes off his pit stop. He's done his pit stop. Gal now being served in the AlphaTauri box. I think Galloway's also being served in the Ferrari box as we speak right now. As through goes Galloway now. Then so they've just finished off their pit stop. So what's going on up at the front between Quarg and Kloss? I think Kloss is actually too far back to get a hold of Quarg there. He wasn't able to get the traction on the Renault driver down at that part of the track as Patel also came in as well. So a whole flurry of pit stops for the dry tyres here.
Yep, and look, Gal's not going to the end looking at his field load, so Gal surprisingly, AlphaTauri surprisingly not feeling Gal to the end. Kind of weird, and I think Lamborghini did a double stack. I think, right? Yeah, they might have.
Might have done and might have not. We'll have to wait and see. But now we look at Bartosz Kloss now, then, who's all over the back of Roman Quarg. Is he going to get him into poo on with the grip? No, he can't. Has to hang back for the moment now, then, as they now come around out of poo on now. Then Kloss is definitely quicker than Quarg in front. But will Quarg get the call to come into the pits at the end of this lap? I wonder for a set of dry tyres like his teammate did on the previous lap as they now make their way towards Campus and the Stavlo corners. Oh, look, that Quarg there had a bit of a moment. Kloss might take advantage, but he wasn't able to do so. Quarg got a little bit squirrely on the throttle there coming out of Campus. And, well, has he got the call now to come into the pits? Because we are past Sector 3. No, he's not. Quarg is not pit. Now he is.
Now he has.
He's got the call now. It's a little bit later than what I thought because Perinin got it a little bit sooner than what he did on that occasion. But Kloss, is he going to try and go for it before he makes his pit stop? He's going to try and have a go, but no. He's probably now realising that Quarg is coming in. So Kloss will retake the lead of the Grand Prix.
Yep, Kloss will retake the lead. So a late call for Quarg. Meanwhile, Car is up on Kloss. Same with Mocho, but Car looks to be quicker.
Indeed, and Car might try and get a fastest lap out of this as a result, as now Perinin will go by for the moment. I'm looking at Perinin's fuel load. He's actually going to the end of the Grand Prix, so that's very interesting indeed, because we know that Kloss has got to pit once more, so that's obviously something to bear in mind come the end of the race, as Quarg now then 21 laps of fuel for him. That I don't think he's yeah, he's going to have to pit once more because that's not enough to get to the end of the race. So he's going to have to pit towards the end of the race there is Roman Quarg. So have Renault kind of messed up there with Quarg, I wonder?
Yeah, they might have, but I think he might have a comfortable gap to Patel, who's in 6th. Carl will have to pit again. I do assume Mocha will have to pit again as well.
There on quite light fuel loads as Car actually just set the fastest lap of the race there as everybody's now setting purple sector times now then, as you can see in that first sector, all except for Perinin and Galloway of course, but of course you don't really measure sector 1 like we saw in qualifying the other day. But Kloss is still pulling away from Jesus Perinin, and he needs to really, Ra, because he's on the 2 stop and he needs to build a gap to Perinin before he makes his final stop.
Yep, the gap is 14.7, so the gap is quite big right now, but he needs to make it as big as he can to avoid to stay ahead of Perinin. So that's going to be important.
Derry there just had a little bit of a moment for him to Blanchimont there, going a little bit wide, but clearly on the ragged edge in that Aston Martin. We are down to 16 runners, by the way, in this Grand Prix. Wilson, of course, being the latest retirement in this Grand Prix after what happened with Byrne and Lopez, of course. But yeah, that's that really. But now it's up to 15.9, so he's still pulling away his Bartosz Kloss, as it looks like Perinin might actually come under pressure soon from the man who won here last season, of course, Jake Galloway, who is Bart Kloss now setting another fastest lap of 144.851. Is anybody going to beat that, I wonder? But the man who won here last season, Jake Galloway, is on the back of Jesus Perinin here.
Yeah, and Perinin under pressure from Galloway. Gal could even catch up as well, so yeah, let's see what's going to happen for the battle for second here.
Indeed, and if Galloway can get a good exit out of La Source, he could maybe get a run here on Jesus Perinin. We shall wait and see, and it looks like maybe Perinin has got a little bit more in the pocket there coming out of La Source, but we'll have to wait and see unless Galloway can try and stay in his slipstream going through Eau Rouge and Radion now. There's through Eau Rouge and then going up towards Radion. He is gaining on the Renault, but is he close enough to go for a move? He's in the slipstream. He might try and have a go if he's close enough, as they're going down the Kemmel Straight, but I think on this occasion he's a little bit too far back, so Perinin will stay in front of the Ferrari driver for the time being, as Gal is only 1.4 seconds behind these two.
Yep, Galway's catching, but not by much. But I think if these two keep on battling, Gal will be in this.
Yeah, indeed, as now they come around turns 8 and 9. 16.7 seconds is the gap as this fight for second place still continues on. They're actually coming up to a bit of traffic up Perrin and Galloway and Gal. You've got Quag there just in the background trying to catch back up to Miklos Gal. Meanwhile, they now go around Puon. Galloway didn't even try and go for the moves. Meanwhile, Carr is all over the back here of Rahul Patel, so he can sense another place here. Can the Mercedes driver, as he's also dragging along Michael Mocho with him as well, as they now come around the Jackie X corner there. Is Carr going to try and have a go down into Puon? He's on the inside of the Lamborghini driver. No, not quite. He has to hang back for the moment, and he's still behind the Lamborghini driver at this stage as they now make their way towards Lafania now then on the racetrack through into the right and left-hander. We will go on the racetrack now. Then 17.9 seconds. The gap between the top two is now Galloway all over the back here of Hayes' Perinin, but he can't make the move stick. He has to hang back once again. We look now to the fight for sixth between Patel, Carr and Mocho, who is now on the back of this train as a result, as they now make their way towards Bonjamon. The track getting even more dry. Carr needs to be careful because he's going to open the door for Mocho, but Mocho actually doesn't take full advantage of that. So, yeah, so Carr stays in front of Mocho for the moment. He's once again going to try and look to the outside. Can Mocho, though, take full advantage? He's going to try and have a look. Mocho, he's gone through into 7th place. Carr just left the door open there. Mocho takes 7th place, and now it's his turn to get a hold of Rahul Patel there. That was a little bit clumsy there from Amar Carr, it's fair to say.
Yeah, we tried to risk it, but it didn't work. Patel defends the inside. It helped, and he defended that well. So Carr's back in it, but yeah, he lost track position to Mocho, so that was not ideal for Carr. Now it's Mocho's turn to go for Patel.
He's got a run here going up through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's going to get a run here through up towards the Camel Straight. Is Mocho going to grab P6 here from the Lamborghini driver? Mocho in the slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Can he pull the move off? I don't think he can. It looks like Patel. He just looks like that Mocho is actually topped out down that straight. So as a result, Patel able to keep the place for the moment.
Yeah, Patel doing pretty well in defending from Mocho, so it won't be easy, but Mocho's going to have to be late on the brakes here.
Indeed so, as we now look at Perinin and Galloway, who are continuing to fight for second place, as now Patel and Mocho continue to fight for 6th place. Carr watching on as best as he can on this fight that's going on here, as now, meanwhile, I just want to point out with the other top runner, Roke is up in 9th place meanwhile, so he's now got back into the points after all of that, as now Carr tries to have a go at Mocho, who failed to get the overtake done there on Rahul Patel. Mocho once again going defensive into that part of the track, as now they make their way through the second part of Blanchimont, as Barges Kloss with another fastest lap of 1:43.7. He is still flying on the racetrack as Galloway tries to look to the inside of Hayes' Perinin into the chicane. Side by side they go through into the chicane, and Perinin still holds on to the place, but Gal tries to get him on the exit there. Can he get 3rd place from the Ferrari drivers who go side by side down the pit straight? No, not quite, as now Quag has caught up to the back of them there, but yeah, very, very close here between the battle for second. 4 cars scrapping it out, as meanwhile Mocho tries to have a go at Patel, but it doesn't work out. They all go single file into that chicane, and yeah, that's pretty much that really.
Yeah, Quag entering that battle. This is going to be a big battle for second there. And Patel holding, well, a small train, but it's doable. But Carr and Mocho are clearly quicker than Patel, but they are struggling to get past the Lamborghini.
And Yu's just put a note to us on the Discord there that apparently the overtaking, because of the wet line on the inside, is making it hard for drivers to overtake. So that's probably why Patel is able to stay in front of both Mocho and Carr for the moment. But Mocho is still going to try, regardless, though, down the Camel Straight. He's once again going to try and have a look on the inside of Rahul Patel. And once again, it just tops out for the Haas driver. And yeah, just proving the point once again. The wet line on the inside is making it very hard for drivers to overtake at this point.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, sneaking through is going to be an important one. Mocho not going on the inside this time, but that ain't going to work.
No, definitely not. And once again, both Kloss and Carr are still stuck behind Rahul Patel's gearbox at this stage of the race style then. Sorry, Mocho, sorry, I got the two assets mixed up. But Mocho now on the inside into Puon. Can he get the move done on Patel? No, he can't. Once again, not able to get the move done on that point in time. Carr now back on the gearbox of the Haas driver as a result. Kloss with another fast lap of 1:42.9. He's now broken to the 1:42s. The race leader is absolutely flying at the front of the field at the moment. And as Ra alluded to earlier on, there's clearly a reason why Haas kept him on for next season.
Yeah, and this is a big statement for Kloss. If he wins this race, this is a big statement here.
Indeed so, and a lot of excitement for Haas for the following season, of course, given they've got an upward trend in terms of their development. How far the upward trend will be, we'll have to wait and see, of course. But anyway, Mocho leaving the door open. Can Carr reclaim the place here of Mocho? He's going to try and have a go, and after losing the place earlier on, Carr says, thank you very much. It's now my turn to attack Patel this time by. So Carr retakes 7 as a result, and pretty much Patel's defending is just allowing Carr and Mocho to swap places with each other at the moment. It's now Carr trying to get the slipstream here on Patel in towards the source. Patel going defensive into the source there, and Carr once again still stuck behind the Lamborghini driver at this stage.
Yep, and I think Roke and Chung are catching up, so it won't be long for until Roke and Chung catch up. But of course, Carl will pit again anyway.
Oh, Patel's gone wide!
Oh no!
Gone. Patel's crashed! A huge crash for Rahul Patel! Up the top of Radion there! Clearly cracked under pressure for both Carr and Mocho. They both gained a place, but in dramatic and no, Roker's out now! George Roker's caught the debris. He's out of the race now then. There's debris all over the place. Patel's out of the race thanks to a crash. And Chung has also lost her wheel shield. No, that's a glitch there. So you have to pause there, Yuri, because that's a bit of a graphical glitch. Yeah, there's a graphical glitch there for Chung. There you go. That's how you correct that. But yeah, she hasn't got damage there. False alarm. But either way, Roker Patel are out. And that is a dramatic crash for Patel. Reminds me of Franco Garma's crash from a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and of course he was having a great race up until that point, and yeah, that was a big mistake there. And of course he was having the frustrating season up until until the last 2 races, and he cracked under pressure. He was doing well, and yeah, big crash there. And Rogue's race could have been alive, but unfortunately he caught Patel's wheel.
Patel went over the sausage game, and because of the wet patch that was on the inside, it meant that Patel pretty much aquaplaned there at high speed, and well, that is a big impact there for the Lamborghini driver. He was looking on course for points, but yeah, no points there for the Lamborghini driver. And Roke, poor old Roke, he was pretty much a passenger in all that, caught the debris, and now he's out of the race. That means no points for Red Bull as a result.
Yeah, that's a big blow in the Constructors' Championship for them. Because Carr is gonna gain, but I don't know by how much. But it will be a bit little, but we'll see.
Indeed, as meanwhile Galloway, I think is that one of the Williamses there trying to unlap themselves. It is. That's Felix Sontag that's trying to unlap himself at the expense of Jake Galloway. As we've got Gal and Quagga who are currently fighting for 4th position. Meanwhile, and it seems that bit of traffic is allowing Perinin to pull away now from Jake Galloway as a result. But it looks like Sontag has now been told to get out of the way of both Gal and Quag there. So I don't think Sontag was actually aware there that Quag was there for the taking, so that was a little bit sketchy there, but thankfully no collision there between the pair. The yellow flags have now been lifted at that part of the track. But it's now left Carr and Mocho to just scrap it out on their own now for 6th place as a result of all of that. As we now look at Quag, who's now going to try and get a hold of Gal up the hill, down towards the Camel Straight now, then on the racetrack. And he looks like he's just too far back to get the AlphaTauri at this point in time. But yeah, that was just a dramatic crash there from Rahul Patel there.
Yeah, and of course he is in danger of being out of the top class, so having a mistake like that is not ideal. But of course he was having a great race up until that point, and he was staying out of trouble, and he was defending well from Carl and Mocho, so we would have not known how long would it have been until Carl overtook Patel, or even Mocho as well. So yeah. Of course, Carl will be able to catch up to these guys, but the gap is about 3rd, but it's going to be big. It's a big gap now. It's 17.6, but he is up on Kloss.
Indeed, Carr setting a purple first sector, meanwhile, as he might try and go for a fastest lap and try and grab the bonus point away. Just as Kloss, in fact, sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:41.882, so now he's broken into the 1-minute 41s as a result. But meanwhile, Gal and Quag are once again fighting for 4th position here. Can Quag finally get the move done on the AlphaTauri driver heading in towards the last chicane now then? He thought about a move, tried to go for the inside, but at the same time had to back out of that one. In the end there, as now Galloway is actually catching back up now to Hayes' Perinin. They might also be dragging Gal and Quag once again into that scrap that's going on as they now make their way down the pit straight now. They're on the racetrack as they head their way down towards the source. And, Quag really trying his best to get a hold of the AlphaTauri in front, but it just seems like every time he tries to, he just struggles with traction coming out of the source.
Yeah, and it's not ideal, and of course, he is quick, but of course, it's not ideal, of course. He does have to pit again his quad. And meanwhile, Carr is coming into the pits. This will be for his final stop.
Imagine it's his final stop, but given the changeable conditions, you never know, of course. Mocho is also expected to make one more stop before the end of the race behind. I think he'll pit in around about a few laps after Carr, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But anyway, as meanwhile, Galloway now catching back up now to Jesus Perinen as they now make their way towards the right-handers. Now Galloway sets a purple first sector. It seems the track is improving all the time around here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Coming out of turn 9 now, then we go. There's now Quag now trying to have a go here at this is Miklos Gal for 4th position, but again can't make the move stick, and he's been stuck behind the AlphaTauri for quite a long time in this Grand Prix as we now ride back on board with Jesus Perinen in the Renault as he'll once again come under pressure from the Ferrari of Jake Galloway here if he's not careful.
Yeah, Galloway right goes again, same with Gal and Quag, so let's see what's going to happen. Of course, we're not expecting a battle here right now, but maybe during the next lap, on lap 29, the lap Cross is on right now. It's not close enough at the moment, but we'll see what happens. Preden does defend the inside line.
Yeah, indeed, he seems to feel the pressure here from Jake Galloway, and I wonder if Galloway might try and go for a run either at La Source or down the Kemmel Straight. We'll have to wait and see as they come down the pit straight now then, and heading down towards La Source. Perinen again going defensive into that first corner. You can feel the pressure from the Ferrari driver now then as they make their way through into La Source now then. Coming off of the turn, heading down the hill now, then Galloway actually pretty close to Perinen here, so if he can get a run up through Eau Rouge and Radion, he could maybe try and get a run on Jesus Perinen here, but let's see as they now come around Eau Rouge, up the hill, and then through into Radion we go, and let's see if he's close enough. In fact, I don't think he is on this occasion. I think clearly didn't get enough of a run he needed up the hill there to try and get the move stick. Sontag's coming in, but meanwhile, Armar Carr now into the pits for Mercedes. Let's have a look if he does go to the end, and yes, he will do, in fact. So Carr is going to the end of the race, and it'll be interesting to see where he ends up finishing in this race. With the likes of Roque, Lopez, and Bernal out of the race, given that he actually caught up to Lopez in the championship last time out, this could be a good opportunity for Carr to get himself back in the championship fight.
Yeah, and pretty much the best he could get is pretty much 6th right now. So, yeah, he won't gain much, but it's a good opportunity to gain some points to Lopez.
As Carr rejoins in 8th after the pit stops, he rejoins right behind Laura Chung's Lamborghini. As of course we mentioned, Sontag's pitting quite soon. As meanwhile, both Perinen and Gal going defensive through into the Lafagna corner there. As now heading in towards the double right-hander. We will soon approach now then as they go through into turn 14. And then around turn 15 we will go on the racetrack. Now they're heading out of the turn and then up towards Blanchimont. We will soon approach as Galloway tries to put Perinen under a bit of pressure. Same with Quag on Gal for the meantime. Quag doesn't go for the inside of Blanchimont, but Galloway does. Tried to have a go there but didn't work out. It's allowed Gal and Quag to catch up a little bit more now. Then Galloway on the outside now. Then is he going to try and flick it back to the inside? No, he doesn't. As Quag tried to do the same, but flicks back. And now all 4 cars are once again grouped together, coming out of the last chicane now. Then as they make their way onto the pit straight now. Then on the racetrack. And now, let's see if Galloway can find a way through. Sontag now into the pits for Williams now then. I would presume that will be for his final stop of the race as they come out of La Source now. They're heading down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion. They will soon approach. But yeah, that's pretty much that. And once again, Galloway too far back to challenge Perinen at this stage. And it just seems like every time they get close to each other, all 4 of them just seem to lose traction coming out of La Source. As no words there from Ra, it seems he's got no reaction to that one. As now coming around Lecombe now, then we go. As now coming around the right-hander we go. As we can see, the 2nd to 5th very close to go on the racetrack. Galloway and Gal currently finding themselves in a Renault sandwich. At least tell me you were going, Ra, by the way. Left me hanging there for a little bit when I was trying to get an opinion piece. But anyway, as now coming down towards Pouon now then, as we now look at Bartosz Kloss in the Haas now then, who's continuing to pull away out of the front. Of course, he's got one more stop to make, and it looks like he's going to be setting another fastest lap here. Kloss is really flying out there today in the Haas, and well, he can sense a first ever victory in the top class on his way if he can keep this up. Of course, there's still plenty of race laps to go anyway, as he just sets a 141.717. So Kloss continuing to build that gap. It's now over 30 seconds between himself and Jesus Perinen. He is not messing about here today.
Yep, and he is showing everyone about what's going to happen next season. And this is a real statement for Kloss. And he's having a great season. great season, and he's having an amazing race. He started 14th and he's leading the race, and it looks like he's gonna win it.
Well, let's not jump to
Hopefully.
the conclusions just yet, Rob. We've still got 14 laps
Yeah.
of the race to go at the moment. But anyway, meanwhile, Galloway now trying to have a go at Perinin into La Source, but Perinin last minute defends the inside, going through into there. It looked like Gal was trying to dive him into that first corner and maybe catch him off guard, but it didn't quite work out there. And now they head the way down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion now then, as we'll see if anybody can try and get a run up towards Eau Rouge. It just feels like what we see in real life, a little bit of a DRS train forming between these two, even though we don't have DRS in this series, but it does kind of feel like that with these four at the moment.
Yeah, it really feels like that. And it's not great, but you gotta live with it.
Indeed, as they come out of Lecombe now, then there's a Galloway actually got a good run coming out of there. Maybe thought about a move into the Bruxelles corner there, but didn't work out. So he once again has to hang back for the moment as they now make their way down towards the Jackie X corner now. Then through into the left-hander we go, heading down the hill towards Pouan. Is Galloway going to try and go for it into Pouan? He's going to think about a move on the inside. Is Galloway going to make it stick? No, he can't. Same with Quark on Gal. He can't make it stick either. And once again, Galloway and Quark still stuck behind, but now Gal, thanks to all of that, is now all over the back of Jake Galloway as Gal wants that podium in the AlphaTauri as best as possible now. Then that he broke away from Quark after Quark tried to overtake him into Perm, but it looked like there Galloway had more traction. There's another fastest lap for Barcher's Class, a 1:41.561 coming around Stavlo corner. Gal has got a run here on Jake Galloway. Let's see if he can try and do something with this.
Yeah, let's see. Of course, Gal will have to pit again. Like, I just feel like he's got 10 more laps of field, so he will have to pit again. I don't know about podium. Is on. I think the podium is off the cards, but we'll have to wait and see on that. It's going to be important for him to overtake Galloway and Perinin. Same for Cog as well.
Is pitting at the end of this lap meanwhile, so the race leader Barch's Class will be pitting for his second and final stop of the race now then. But yeah, as mentioned, of course, 13 laps for Jake Galloway meanwhile. But given how GP4 works, I wonder if he will make another pit stop or not. I'll have to wait and see on that one. We know that Perinin is not pitting again, I don't think, looking at his fuel load, and no, he's going to the end. So that's a bit of an interesting one with Galloway. Will he go to the end with that fuel load or not? Because we know that's how GP4 sometimes works when it comes to changeable conditions. That's obviously something to keep an eye on there with Jake Galloway. So it might not just be Quark and Gal, they might be joined by Galloway towards the end of the race, but we shall wait and see. Of course, that might then give the breathing room that Perinin needs to hold on to this second place, but we'll wait and see on that one now then, as Galloway again tries to have a go into the Bruxelles corner, but again can't make it stick. He's trying to scare Jesus into a mistake at that part of the track, given it's a little bit tough to overtake on the inside with that wet patch. So yeah, he's trying to scare the Spaniard off as best as possible. Now Galloway trying to have a go on the inside into Pouan, but again Perinin holds on to the place for the moment, and once again it's put Gal back into play.
Yeah, this putting Gal back into play. Meanwhile, Kloss is into the pits, and he will rejoin comfortably in the lead.
Indeed, as they now make their way through into this section of corners now then on the racetrack, as Kloss now is into the pits for his second and final stop of the race now then. Of course, he should go to the end of the race, but let's see how quick this pit stop is going to be then for the Haas driver. And given the gap that they pulled away, you would think that he's still going to emerge in the lead of the race. But let's see, as he puts on the pressure at the tyres, he is obviously going to go to the end of the race. Let's see how quick the stop is or not, because the camera decides to get away from that. As now, look at these three now. Quark on the back of Miklos Gal. Gal trying to look on the inside of Jake Galloway into the last chicane, but he can't make it stick. Quark wasn't able to take full advantage as Kloss still rejoins in the lead of the Grand Prix. So Kloss still leads, and he built up enough of a gap in the end, to keep that lead.
Yep, and you'll be a lot more quicker now, so you'll be saving fastest laps to try and protect that to get an extra point.
Indeed, as the fight for third was still raging on now, as they make their way down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Rally, on Perinin able to gap Galloway as a result of Gal and Galloway fighting it out for that final podium place. Of course, we are expecting Gal, of course, to pit towards the end of the race, and also Quark. Maybe the same for Galloway as well. We're not sure, but we know for a fact that Perinin is going to be going to the end of the race. Looking at his fuel load, it's the same amount as what Barch's Kloss has got in his tank, so Perinin should be going to the end of the race as a result of that. But yeah, that's that. And again, no movements in that fight for third position, as now Galloway, Gal and Quark try to catch back up to Perinin in front.
Yeah, Perinin doing well so far because he is going to the end. We don't know about Galloway. He might go to the end, but we'll have to wait to see, knowing GP4, as what Joe pointed out. And of course, Gal and Quark do have to come into the pits for one more time. Macho is catching, but I mean, he'll have to come in as well, but he is too far back.
Yeah, indeed, Mocho, of course, will have to pit once more as well, so it looks like Carr will get himself back ahead after the pit stops. I'm not sure if Patel has to pit again or not. We'll have to
That was
keep an eye
Chung.
on that. We'll have to see. But anyways, and now look at Galloway is now all over the back of Jesus Perrin, now then is Quag once again trying to have a go at Gal through in towards Blanchimon there. Galloway trying his best to get through on Jesus Perrin there to now make their way through Blanchimon and now into the last chicane. Will Galloway make the move stick now? Then he's going to try and have a go to the inside. Can Galloway pull the move off as Quag tries to have a go at Gal into the last chicane, but again can't make it stick. Although he puts Gal in a bit of a compromised position coming out of the turn there, so it means that Gal has lost the momentum to both Galloway and Perrin in front. As now heading in towards La Source we will go. Galloway doing his best to try and get by on Jesus Perrin into La Source there, but can't make it stick coming out of the turn. And let's see if Galloway is close enough this time to get a hold of the Spaniard now. Then as they go down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion now then. As now heading their way through the left and right hander we go. Through the left, through the right, and then up the hill through Radion we go. And Galloway, again, too far back to get a hold of the Renault driver Perrin, doing a good job to gap them all coming out of La Source there. He's done so well doing that throughout today, even though he is going a little bit defensive through into Lecombe there. But so far, Perrin doing a good job defensively in this race, even though today, of course, he did let one driver through, of course, and that was, of course, Bartsch Kloss. But in terms of everybody else, I think I might have had a bit of lag there, but in terms of everybody else, Perrin's done a good job keeping them back at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. If he keeps doing that, then he got a real chance of a podium. But of course, Gal and Quag will pit again, so he's pretty much safe for a podium here.
Well, look how close these four are now, as everybody was pretty much going defensive going into Lafanya there, as they now make their way through the left-hander now, they before making their way towards the double right-hander of turns 14 and 15 on the racetrack now. Then through into the right-hander we go, as they now make their way towards Blanchimon, as now Galloway looks to the outside of Perrin. He needs to be aware, because Gal's right there. Gal could try and take the place, but he can't quite, as once again they all stay single file, but they're all close together, heading in towards the chicane. Hopefully they can keep it clean, as Galloway left the door open there. He's going to try and look to the inside of Jesus Perrin, but he can't once again make the move stick, and once again they all stay single file through into the chicane now then, as they make their way onto the pit straight, as Mocho will be coming in at the end of this lap for Haas now then, as they now make their way down towards the source now then. Nobody thinking about a flinch for a move there at the moment, as they now come out of La Source, heading down the hill, down the WEC pit straight now then, as now making our way, well I say WEC, more of the Spa 24-hour pit lane I should say, is now coming around Eau Rouge and Radion. They will soon come about now, they're heading down the Camel Straight. Mocho now into the pits for Haas and Galloway again. These guys not close enough to go for a move on each other at this stage now then, so yeah, once again all staying single file at this stage of the race.
Yep, and how long will it be until, of course, those guys will have to pit? Of course, Perrin doesn't have to pit again. I don't know about Galloway, but it is a big question. But he might, but we'll wait and see on that one. Mocho is going to rejoin. Is he ahead of Carr?
Is ahead of Carr. It said pit exit next to his name, so Mocho has actually stayed ahead of Carr after the pit stop. So in actual fact, Mocho has got the jump on Carr here.
Yep, and that was important. Next up, of course, Chung will have to pit again, so he's in a legit 6th place now.
Indeed, you mentioned, yeah, Chung is, Roger will be in a legit 6th place, because of course Chung still needs to make one more pit stop before the end of the race now then, but meanwhile, back to our fight for what is 2nd place now then, as these four have been battling for the majority of the race now then, as Galloway again tries to have a go on Perrin, and Gal again on the inside of Galloway through into Blanchimon. He gets it done! Galloway's up into 3rd place. Of course, he still needs to pit, of course, but he finally broke through. Kloss sets another fastest lap now. Gal trying to attack Perrin and tries to go for him on the inside into the chicane, but he can't make it stick, but Gal has got through into 3rd position.
Yeah, finally a change the position between for that battle for 2nd, and this time Gal takes the opportunity on Galloway, and it works as Perrin actually made a lock up there.
Yeah, indeed, and still, given that we're not so sure about Galloway's fuel at the moment, whether he'll have to pit again or not, I think he will have to pit if I'm being totally honest, but given how the game usually works, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. If he does pit again, does Galloway, then Gal does have a chance of getting a podium here in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, Gal has a good chance on getting the podium here for AlphaTauri, and this is great. It will be great for AlphaTauri, considering it is their last ever season in the top class. So Yeah, they want to end their remaining races on a high.
Indeed so, as we look at Michael Mocho, who's in 7th place, got a 1.1 second cushion over Amar Carr at this stage of the race now. They now make their way through into Bruxelles as Gal tries to put Perinin under a bit of pressure. Looks like Galloway's also under threat here from Roman Quarg. Meanwhile, Johannes Martins into the pits for Aston Martin for his final stop. Is now Quarg on the inside of Jake Galloway into Puan, but he can't make it stick and has to hang back for the moment as now Gal tries to put Perinin under a bit of pressure here for 2nd place. Of course, I don't think he's racing Perinin, of course, because Perinin is actually going the end of the race, but I guess for pride really, Gal wants to get the move done and maybe try and help himself out if Galloway does pit, of course.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and of course, one mistake for Britain, and these three will be going through.
Indeed, as Gal tries to put Perinin under a bit of pressure here. Gal trying to get back at him through into Blanchimon there, but it's not going to work out. And once again, Gal stays in front of the Ferrari driver for the moment now. They now make their way towards the last chicane. Galloway, is he going to try and get the place back off the AlphaTauri driver into the last chicane? He's thinking about the move, but thinks better of it. And Gal holds on to the place for the moment as Quarg, in fact, because Galloway's left the door open here. Can Quarg slip his way through out of the exit of the chicane now? Then does it go side by side? No, not quite. Galloway again holds on to the place for the moment as Gal's pitting at the end of this lap. So Mikolas Gal is coming in at the end of this lap. Quarg is not yet. And if Galloway is pitting, then he's not pitting just yet either. Of course, it is something to keep an eye on, of course, with Galloway's fuel load, given how sometimes the wet conditions work with these fuel loads. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. As now we look at Amar Carr now then in the Mercedes, as we now look at Mocho as well, who's in fact, I don't know if he's actually pulling away from Carr or not, but that's something interesting there as they all make their way down the Camel Straight now. Then Quarg not close enough to get Galloway at this stage of the moment, as now Gal makes his way through Lecombe now then, and through the right-hander. He will go as he now makes his way towards the Bruxelles corner now then of turn 8 and then into turn 9 he will go as he tries to close back up onto Perrin and maybe try and get him before he has to make that pit stop, of course, as they now make their way through the Jackie X corner there, as there is the race leader Barches Kloss, who is continuing to lead the way out in front at the moment as he now makes his way through Blanchimon now then, and continuing to pull away out in front. He's got a 22.7 second lead and he might be on for another fastest lap here. We'll have to wait and see as Kloss now then makes his way into the last chicane, through into the right and left-hander now then he goes, as Kloss now then makes his way onto the pit straight as he set the fastest lap of the race this time by. Across the line he goes, and yes, he has a 141.255, and Kloss continuing to fly out in front of the race, as meanwhile we look at Mikolas Gal, who's on the back of Perrin, and Quarg all over the back of Galloway, who's now losing touch to Gal as a result, as Quarg now tries to look to the outside of Galloway but can't make it stick. Of course, Gal is coming in. He tried to have a go at Perrin and never didn't make it work, but of course we'll see Gal pull to the right, which he does. So into the pits goes the AlphaTauri driver, so Gal comes in for his second and final stop. I expect it, because of how many laps there are left, for to just be a quick splash and dash.
Yeah, and this is going to be now enough for Gal if he wants to get a podium here. Of course, we don't know if Galloway is coming in, but of course, knowing the game, he will have to hit again, but we'll see.
Now then into the pits for AlphaTauri, and let's see how quick this stop is going to be then from the AlphaTauri mechanics. Chance to possibly get one more podium perhaps before they leave the sport at the end of the season, and just 10 laps, a quick splash and dash I expect, and yet a 5.3 second stop from the AlphaTauri mechanics. He should still rejoin comfortably in 5th position. He's got enough of a gap to Laura Chung anyway, even though she's just come out of the final turn. So Gal will rejoin in 5th position, and now he can try and see if he can push hard to stay in front of Quarg when he pits, and then maybe Jake Galloway if he does have to pit once more. Of course, we will have to keep an eye on that one with the Ferrari, but at the moment Galloway is currently having to try and fend off from Roman Quarg at the moment, as it looks completely bone dry on the inside of Bruxelles now, so I guess it makes it easier now for overtakes to potentially happen in these remaining few laps. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows, and yeah, we could see more overtaking within the final few laps, so let's see what's going to happen here.
Indeed, as now we can see that Roman Quarg now then really trying his best to get by on Jake Galloway as they now make their way through the right and left-hander, and now coming around the double right-hander. They'll soon come now. Then Videri now into the pits for Aston Martin, as now they're back on the back of Perinin once again now then in this race, as Laura Chung will be pitting at the end of this lap, so Mocho will get herself get himself back into 6th place, and now Quarg on the inside of Galloway. Can he pull the move off? He's side by side through to Blanchimon, but he can't. Kloss did set another fast lap there, 141.0, as now Galloway tries to look on the outside there of Perrin, and he now tries to look to the inside of the Renault driver, but again he can't make it stick through into the last chicane now then we will go, as now we will see, will Quark come into the pits at the end of the next lap, because they usually leave it with about 5 laps worth in the tank. So let's see, is he going to come into the pits at the end of the next lap? Let's see. Yes, he will indeed. So given that Galloway has got 7 laps, I think Galloway will pit at around about lap 41, but of course we will wait and see how that one develops.
Yeah, let's see how this one develops. Might need to know what Gal's pace is gonna be like. Chung now comes into the pits.
So Mocho is now back. Mocho goes up into 6th place. That means that Car will go up into 7th place. So 6 championship points for Armar Car there then. And just going to try and have a look and see what that would mean for his championship, of course. So I'm just going to open up the spreadsheet for the moment. And as mentioned, of course, Quark is pitting at the end of this lap. Perrin will not have to worry about his teammate for too much longer. But then it'll be the case of when does Galloway pit. We do think if he is pitting, he's going to be pitting on around about lap 41 of the race. But of course, we'll have to wait and see, because we know that sometimes our GP4 works with the fuel loads. So yeah, we'll wait and see on that one. Just looking around on Car in terms of his championship, if he stays in 7th place, he will put himself only 15 points behind teammate Lopez in the championship. So he is getting closer and closer to his teammate, but still, he is looking for that victory this season as Armar Car. And the same goes for George Roke as well, who, safe to say, his retirement today confirmed Red Bull's miserable day today after locking out the front row, as Loa Chung rejoins in 9th after the pit stop. So in fact, Chung might actually try and get a double points finish for in fact, I say that because Patel's already out of the race, but it would have been a double points finish if Patel had not made that aquaplane moment. But of course, it won't now, because Chung is now the only Lamborghini left. But it looks like she could get herself back in the points after she got damage earlier on in the race. So a good comeback from Laura Chung. Kind of needs to, really, after 2 frustrating races previously at Hungary and of course Silverstone. But Quark now into the pits for his final stop of the race. So only Galloway and Perrinin are now left to fight it amongst themselves, and I would imagine that Quark will rejoin behind Gal, but of course we'll wait and see on that one, as now Galloway tries to put pressure on Jesus Perrinin through into La Source, and if he is going to be pitting, it probably will be next lap. Of course, we will keep an eye on that one, of course, and then we'll see if Perrinin will stay comfortable for the remainder of the race in 2nd place, but of course, we will wait and see. As we ride on board with Jake Galloway, heading down towards Eau Rouge and Radion now, then up the hill he goes, through Radion now then, he's getting close out of the corner, but again, he looks a little bit too far back to challenge the Renault. Quark finishes his pit stop, and I think Gal is going to go through, isn't he? Because he's just crossed the line, or has he? Because Quark is coming around there. There's Gal, and Gal has got through. So Gal is back ahead of Quark as a result, and Quark rejoins in 5th, only just in front of Michael Mocho, in fact. So Mocho's not too far behind these guys either. So that's that, really. So now we look at Galloway, who is still a bit of a question mark as to whether or not he will be pitting or not, but he's still putting Perrinin under a bit of pressure here as they now make their way down towards the Jackie X corner now, then of turn 9, heading their way down towards the double left-hander on the racetrack now. And Galloway looks to the inside of Perrinin, but again has to back out of that one. Perrinin's gone wide! Perrinin's gone for a spin! Perrinin spun! Is he going to the wall? He has! Perrinin has bottled 2nd place, and Jesus Perrinin is out of the race! Oh, he had 2nd place in his hands, and it's all gone down the toilet. Perrinin is out of the race, and that could allow either Galloway, if he pits of course, or Quad to get on the podium.
Yeah, indeed, and Gal will be up into 2nd place if Galloway does pit again. But yeah, that was a big mistake from Jesus Brennan in there.
Big error there for Jesus Perrinin, and he's going to be absolutely kicking himself in the cockpit as well. He is, of course, a contender for Mercedes and Toyota, but accidents like that are not going to win him any favours at all, I am sure. But Gal now back onto the podium as a result of that. Whether Quark will be or not is another question, because it all depends on what this guy's strategy is now. He's just been promoted to 2nd place as a result of Perrinin's error there through into Pouan. But yeah, that's that really. 4 laps to go for Bartridge Kloss, meanwhile, who's in the lead of the race. Valdinger is, in fact, Martins is going to get himself back in the points as a result of that, so he'll get himself back up into 10th place. But anyway, is Galloway pitting though? That is the question, because I think he has now crossed the line, and he will be. So Galloway is pitting at the end of this lap, so Gal might even get back up to 2nd place, because I'm looking at the gap. In fact, I think Quark could even be in front of Galloway here, and I think even Mocho will be as well. So has Galloway potentially left it a little bit too late here, Ra?
Maybe. Let's see if Quark is catching up to Gal. It's still 1.9. And he is pulling away a bit to Mocho, so Mocho's pace is similar to Quark and Gal, so let's see what happens. Chung was actually up on Kloss in the first sector, but lost a lot of time because of the traffic. She had to lap of that Williams.
Look at how many places have been gained there as a result. 13 places for Kloss. We kind of missed it there, but yeah, you kind of got the idea. Pretty much everybody in the top 10 has gained at least one place in this race, although Galloway will be pitting at the end of this lap, so that might not be the case for him when he comes out, because it looks like Gal, Quag, and maybe even Mocho, maybe even Car as well at a push, could maybe even jump Galloway here, because he might have left it a little bit too late here, but we'll have to wait and see, as meanwhile, Chung is actually gaining onto the back here of Kirishima DeRosa, so DeRosa could actually maybe get some points here for McLaren and make amends for what happened with McLaren at the last race of at Hungary, but let's not jump to conclusions just yet, because we were saying this about Willows last time by Hungary, and what happened, of course, his suspension decided to collapse, so let's not jump the gun just yet with Kirishima DeRosa. We shall wait and see on that one, but it would help them out and maybe even get themselves back ahead of Aston Martin in the constructors if Kiro could keep this up, but he's got Chung now all over the back of him. As a result now then, as Chung now gets in the slipstream of the McLaren driver, she's going to look to the inside. Can she pull the move off on the McLaren driver? No, not quite. The Ellers have been lifted at that part, and Kiro holds on to the place for the moment. I think Galloway is now into the pits. Yes, he is. Jake Galloway is now into the pits for Ferrari. Where is he going to rejoin after this pit stop then, I wonder? The Ferrari mechanics are out in the pit lane. Why we're not looking at it, I have no idea. But here we are now then. So Gal's going to go through. Galloway finishing off his pit stop. Where is he going to rejoin within this group now then? So Gal, I think, is going to get up into second place. Is Quag going to get himself into the podium places, I wonder, as we ride on board with Mocho? Quag actually sets the fastest lap, a 1:40.8 for Quag, so he takes that away from Kloss. So Quag is up into third. Is Mocho going to go from Galloway as well? Let's see as Galloway now comes out of the pit lane. The answer to that is no, but oh god, here comes the Eau Rouge corner now. Then we go, and well, that's that really, is now Kloss tries to look on. Sorry, Mocho looks to the inside. Oh, that was close to contact. Oh, Mocho's
no.
gone wide. Mocho's gone wide, but luckily he just about saved that. How on earth did the Haas driver save that one?
Yeah, that was a miracle there. He will lose time, but he will stay ahead of Car. So Car was too far behind. So yeah, how on earth did he save that? I have no idea.
How on earth did he save that one? I guess his heart was in his mouth for that one. But yeah, nearly a double points finish. Nearly going down the drain there for Haas. As meanwhile, Bence Valdinga has to pit once more. So Martins will actually be elevated another place as a result. And is anybody else going to get into the points as a result of Valdinga's pit stop? Is Videri close enough? In fact, he's a lap down. But then again, that might not matter too much. Will Valdinga get through as a result? It kind of all depends on where Kloss is. Kloss has actually lapped him. So I think Videri might actually have a chance to get into 10th. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But 2 laps to go for Barcher's Kloss. Gal is now up into second place, and Quag currently in third place. What a podium we've got on our hands here at the moment, Ra.
Yeah, this is the most unexpected podium we're gonna ever see. Pretty much the most unexpected top 5 drivers in the race results we'll ever see.
Valdinga rejoins in 10th position, so he's still in the points. As a result, Chung tries to have a go again at DeRosa through into Puon, but again, DeRosa keeping firm and doing a good job keeping the Lamborghini driver back for the time being, as they now make their way through into Lafagna now then, as there is Barcher's Kloss, the race leader, with a very big lead out in front of the moment, as he's still got this lap and the next lap to go before he can start celebrating his and Haas's first ever victory in the top class. And well, what a story that will be as well, and the redemption arc for Barcher's Kloss after coming off the 2016 season, where he basically was one of the worst drivers on the grid. He redeemed himself over the last few years in the other series, and well, it's proving off here today. But meanwhile, back to this battle for 7th place now then between Kirishima DeRosa and Laura Chung now then, as they now make their way through into the last chicane. Is Chung going to try and have a go at Kiro, maybe down into La Source now then, or maybe onto the Camel Straight, as we now come down the pit straight now then. They start their penultimate lap of the race as Chung does all she can to try and get by on Kirishima DeRosa's McLaren now then, as they go through into La Source, and now heading our way out of the first corner, heading down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion now then. We will go as now heading down the hill now then, we go towards Eau Rouge and Radion. We will go. Is Chung going to get a run here on the McLaren driver? Up the hill we go. Through out of Radion. Is Chung close enough to go for a move? I don't think she is, I think. Kira's just got enough of a gap to stay in front of the Lamborghini driver. But meanwhile, Barcher's Kloss has just started his final lap of the race here at Belgium. And, wow, what a sight we're going to see here, Ra. Not only is he going to get his first ever victory, should anything not go wrong for him on his final lap, but we're looking at the first ever victory for Haas in the top class. And, well, considering where this team were a few seasons ago, for the last few seasons, I should say, this is an absolute miracle story that we're going to be seeing here in the top class.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, 2 seasons ago they finished last in the championship, of course. And now this season, they are about to get their first win in the top ever in the top class. And if everything goes there, if this final lap goes perfectly for them, so this is gonna be an amazing story for Haas. And it's been long, but of course, journeys like these ain't easy, and they found it the hard way. And taking this win is pretty much the pressure off for them.
Yes, indeed. Of course, let's not forget back in 2016, Kloss was branded as one of the worst drivers in the top class for like the last few seasons. He has been trying to redeem himself. He came close to winning the World Champ Car title last season, only just missing out to Bruno de Bauers, but that incredible season brought him back in the top class, and he's proved to the world why he is now, once again, he is now a good driver now, and he's not as terrible as everybody made him out to be in 2016. But through the final chicane for the 44th and final time, and welcome to victory lane to this driver, because coming out the final corner, it is Bartosz Klaas who wins the Belgian Grand Prix here at Spa. He takes his and Haas's first ever victory in the top class, and oh my, what a result we have here at Spa.
Yeah, this is pretty much a race of attrition here, as Valdinger gets Alfa Romeo points, so 1 point for Alfa Romeo. Videri misses out on points in 11th, as Chung's actually overtaken De Rose on seen by the cameras. Chung is up to 7th as Griffiths finishes 12th. I think that's a solid 12th place for Griffiths, but of course, it's been an eventful race for Williams. Let's now look at this battle for second place here.
Gal and Quagga fighting right to the dear end, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Gal is going to get a podium here today. Back-to-back seasons where he's got a podium for AlphaTauri, and AlphaTauri will get one more podium before they leave. Second place for Miklas Gal, a great result for him. Third place for Roman Quagg. Fourth for Jake Galloway, clearly leaving the strategy a little bit too late there. Michael Mocho gets a double point in fifth. Galloway even getting the fastest lap as well. Carr gets sixth, so he closes up on the championship to both Byrne and Lopez as a result. Chung is going to finish in 7th place after passing Kirishima De Rosa on the last lap of the race, so she's going to get 6 championship points for Lamborghini. Lamborghini have scored in every race so far this season, something to point out there as well, so they've done a pretty good job considering they've gone backwards this season compared to last season. But Chung will cross the line in 7th place, just misses out on the fastest lap in fact. Kirishima De Rosa finally, McLaren get points, so they will get back ahead of Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship. They won't get ahead of Alfa Romeo though, because Valdinger is still in the points, so they'll still be 1 point ahead. Martins gets more points for Aston Martin in 9th, a great result for him. Valdinger is in 10th, and there you have it then. Bartosz Klaas is a Grand Prix winner here in the top class, and Haas finally get their first ever victory as well. Who would have thought it? They even do it before they do it in real life. But here are the final results then of the Belgian Grand Prix. Bartosz Klaas is a Grand Prix winner. Try that again actually for the highlights. Bartosz Klaas is a Grand Prix winner for Haas with Miklas Gal in 2nd, Roman Quagg finishes in 3rd with Jake Galloway in 4th, Michael Mocha makes it double points for Haas in 5th, Armar Carr closes in on the championship in 6th with Loa Chung in 7th, Kirishima De Rosa finally points for McLaren in 8th, Johannes Martins gets more points for Aston Martin in 9th, and Bent Valdinger finally getting more points for Alfa Romeo. He completes the points in 10th position, followed by Andre Videri, who just misses out on points in 11th, and you can do the rest, Ra.
And we have Jamie Griffiths who finishes 12th, only a lap down, of course. You could say that's a positive for most of the grid, and including Williams themselves. Sontag in 13th, Krenin classified in 14th after he bottled 2nd place, and the retirements are George Roque, Rahul Patel after he made an error, Rouge, and Radion and Amelia Wilson, Evan Byrne and Franco Lopez, who came together at the bus stop chicane, David Cooper, who got caught up by Andre Federi, and the lap one retirements in turn 1, Chris Chatfield and Joseph Willows.
Yep, and the fastest lap of the race went to Jake Galloway. So along with the 12 points he gets for 4th position, he's going to get the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. So 13 points going the way to Jake Galloway here today. But an amazing podium here today at the Belgian Grand Prix. And, well, we're going to hear some very unusual national anthems here. Because for the first time in quite a while, I think, and for the first time for one of these national anthems, to celebrate Bartosz Klaas and Haas's achievements, we will now hear the national anthems of Poland and the United States of America. Alrighty then, so congratulations to Bartosz Klos, the first Polish winner in the top class, in fact, since Jay McKenzie at the 2017 Singapore Grand Prix. So a little bit of trivia there. It's been 5 seasons since a Polish driver has won in the top class, and Bartosz Klos has finally written that wrong indeed. But there you have it then. That has been an eventful Belgian Grand Prix, and it's safe to say probably the best race of the season, Ra.
Yeah, I mean, it really was one of the best races of the season, and been one of the most chaotic races as well. Been long since we have those. I mean, yeah, we don't want to talk about Belgium last season, but of course this season it was way better than last
Yeah, indeed. I think people are a lot more happy about this ending than they were than last season's ending to the Belgian Grand Prix. That is for sure. Well, there you have it then. That has been it from the Belgian Grand Prix. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very entertaining race indeed. And, well, who knows really if we're going to have any more surprise winners throughout the season. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it. I hope you've enjoyed it, of course. Don't forget this weekend as well, we have DTM action over at Portimao, so do look forward to that. Of course, don't forget as well, either tomorrow or Friday, of course, the Formula V and World Champ Car sign-ups will officially open. It's a joint sign-up for that one, so do look forward to that as well. Of course, the next top class race will be on next week, which will be the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, the penultimate European race of the season. Of course, because Portugal is going to be the last European race of 2022 instead. So do look forward to that. F2 will also be on next week as well at Monza, and we'll of course have World Champ Car action over at Spa-Francorchamps next week as well. I wonder if World Champ Car could try and top what the top class and F2 have done around this circuit this week. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I'm JW97. He's been Ra, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.